All right, I'm going to try to modify the Realistic 1980s vintage TRC-207 for a BNC jack, to change it from this proprietary jack to actually use this as a standard one. So give it a try here. There's 5 screws. The 2 on the top are the long ones. The other 3 are all the same length, and they're much shorter. It's pretty straightforward. This will be the 3rd time I've done it. So basically, you need to remove the nut first. I've tried with a couple different size wrenches, but I haven't been able to find one that can actually fit in here. A needle nose will do, and this Leatherman is right here. So you've got a sort of a star washer there, and it seems like these kind of get stuck into the plastic a little bit, so you kind of gotta lever it out of there. Now next, there's like a little spade here that's soldered to the coaxial cable. This white cable is the antenna cable, obviously, and this actually is a piece of coax, a very thin one. So this is the antenna conductor here, and then the shielding of the cable is grounded. So if you try to drill this out without desoldering this, it can turn into a big problem. So I'm gonna desolder that from the spade connector before I even try to take it out. Some solder on here. Like so. Alright. Get the spade connector off of there. Just don't need that for anything. Next, the old antenna stud needs to come out, which of course there's no flats on it. Alright. Now next, this needs to be drilled out to allow the new BNC jack to fit. And it needs to be drilled out to 3/8. But you want to do that in steps so that you don't crack the plastic when you do it. So I think we can start. We can start here with 7/32. This is kind of tricky. 7/32. I'll just work through the drill bits. Two more to go. Last one. All right, it's probably the trickiest part. Clean this all off. All right, so let's see how that's drilled out there. So you need to do it this way. If you use the standard Amazon type BNC connector jacks, they are pretty short, and to use them you will need to trim off this material. The first one of these, I did use one of these length ones, and I used a Dremel to cut this off. But if you go onto eBay, you can find a longer jack. You can see this is the eBay one, slightly longer, and you can fit that right in. However, for clearance purposes, this small nub needs to be cut off. It will protrude too far down into and come in contact with the battery compartment of the radio, so that you have to, it's easier to just trim that off now. So I'm just cutting it off at this right here at the nub there. So have it cut like that. And in this jack, you've got the nut, a star washer, and then this lug that you can connect to the ground. So the jack itself will screw in without any of that stuff on there. push all the way in like that. And then star washer. Grounding lug. That in there. Down below the antenna wire. And then the nut. It can be kind of tricky to start this. And you can, of course, rotate the jack itself to get it started. And you can get it a little snugged up there. Like that. Now, found that you can kind of come up there a little bit. So obviously the antenna wire is too short, so we need to make a jumper wire that goes from the end of the antenna wire here over to the stud there. And the easiest way I found to do that is to strip a long piece of wire so that you're not going to run out of room. Plenty long. And then tin the wire. Like that. That's pretty good. I'm going to trim that off. So now you leave that connected. And then solder get a little drip of solder on the iron. Get some solder on the antenna lug there. And then solder this together. And then we get this down a little more. And then bring the old wire up. looks all right. So let's trim that rest of that wire off. Yeah, it looks all right. It looks like it's pulling on that a little bit. So I'm going to change it. Like maybe what I'll do is I'll tighten this all down. Before I solder it. Okay. Now I'll resolder that back. And trim that loose piece off because that's near the contact point with the battery compartment. Alright, and if I need to, I can come back and ground this. It's just a small jumper there we'll need to make, but we'll try it without it. So that's basically it. The coax is not grounded. So it is grounded on the other side though, where it solders to the board. So it is grounded, the coax is, and it's just as grounded there as it was in the beginning. So I think that's pretty much it. Let's give it a test. Test, 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 test. Test, 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 test.